All right, our next task is to figure out what to do with the z-scores once we have them. And so what we're going to be doing is working with the standard normal distribution table. This is a typical table that can be found in most textbooks. Most of the courses that you would go to would have some version of this table. This is a pretty robust one. It's pretty well designed by whoever designed this table. This is the standard normal distribution. So you'll recall from the other day, we talked about the z-scores always need to have one decimal in front of the decimal point, one digit, and two decimal places after the decimal point. So you might have 3.16 or negative 1.48 or positive 1.62. We always have one digit in front of the decimal and two digits after the decimal. And the reason for that is because that's how this table operates. Now, suppose all we're going to do here is, given a z-score, find the table value. Given a z-score, find the table value. So, notice the first leftmost column, it says z, and then we have negative 3.4, negative 3.3, negative 3.2, and so on down. And it continues on down through the decimal values, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7. It continues on down. And the bottommost value is positive 3.0, 3.1, and so on. The largest is 3.4. Across the top, we have 0, 0, 0.01, 0.02, and so on, all the way over to 0.09. Notice that the leftmost column is the same as the rightmost column. So you may enter this table from the right or from the left, whichever is easier for your particular value. Whoever designed this table did a particularly good job of designing it in that way. Also notice that the column headings across the top are identical to the column footings across the bottom. So if it's more convenient, you may enter the table from the bottom to find a value near the bottom of the table. If it's more convenient, you may enter the table from the top to find a value near the top of the table. Now, all we need to know for now is, given a z-score, what is the table value to which it corresponds? We'll discuss later what it represents and how to use it, but for now, just how to find it. Suppose our z-score is, let's say, negative 2.43. Negative 2.43. I'll write it here. Negative 2.43. That's the z-score we have computed. Now we want to find the table value to which that corresponds. The first two values, the digit in front of the decimal and the digit immediately behind the decimal, are found in this first column. The second decimal, in this case 3, is represented by the 0.3 column. The reason this top row, the top heading, has two decimal places is the second digit is the second digit after the decimal point. So, negative 2.43. You look down the leftmost column until we find negative 2.4 here. And across the top until we find the second decimal. The second decimal is 3, so we're in the 0.3 column. Essentially, you're ignoring the 0 and simply using the 3 as the second decimal point. Wherever those two, that row and that column intersect, that's the value we're looking for. In this case, that would be 0.0075 is our table value for the z-score of negative 2.43. All right, let's try that again. Suppose our z-score is now, z is equal to negative 1.28. Negative 1.28. So see if you can find that table value, and then we'll check to see if we got it correct. So you can pause the video if you like. Pause it now. Okay, so let's see what we have. The first two decimal values, the number in front of the decimal point and the digit after the decimal point, we can find in the rightmost column. We're going to enter from the right because 8 is very far to the right of the table. We can look at the negative 1.2, that's this value. Negative 1.2 is the digit in front of and following the decimal point. And then we need to be in the second decimal point is 8. We need to be in the 8 column. Wherever those intersect, that is the table value that we want. In this case, that would correspond to 0.1003. You don't need to write the 0 in front of the decimal point. In fact, typically I will not. So we may simply say that the table value corresponds to 0.1003. And that's true for any value in the table. So suppose we want to try finding if the z-score is given to be or computed to be 2.20. 2.20. Well, the digit immediately in front and following the decimal, that would be 2.2. So we're going to be down here in the 2.2 row. Now, we want the second decimal point, the second decimal place to be 0. That's why this first column is 0, 0. If the second decimal position is 0, if the second digit is 0, then we use the 0, 0 column. And again, this table is very well designed. You may enter it from either the top, or in this case, it might be easier to enter from the bottom. And wherever those cross, that's the table value we look for. That in this case is 0.9861. And let's play one more. Suppose we want to find the table value that corresponds to a z-score of, let's say, 0.76. Suppose our z is 0.76. 0.7, that's the digit immediately in front and behind the decimal point. That tells us which row to be in. So I'm going to enter this time from the right, 0.7. And the second decimal is 6, so we should be able to find that here. That's 0.06. That tells us we're in the 6th column. And wherever those cross, that determines the value we're looking for. In this case, 0.7764. So, given any z-score, you should now be able to find the table value.